other aspects as well of what the Air Force has achieved. But very significantly, the next war will be different from the previous one. We now must be prepared for the future as well. This, I think, is a real headline of what he said. He's also speaking now about the Tejas fighter. The Tejas fighter is now being acquired into the Indian Air Force in large numbers, 183 odd aircraft in what is 1.10 lakh crore rupees. That's a huge deal. So those are a couple of highlights of the point of what the Air Chief has said, speaking about self-reliance, speaking about the Tejas, but significantly in speaking about future wars and the need for India to be future-proof in a context as far as conflicts which take place in the subcontinent.
So let's break that down, Vishnu. Two takeaways that we've spoken about, that you have spoken about rather. The world saw that we had achieved our goal. They demanded a ceasefire, making it amply clear, Vishnu, that India wasn't a part of any ceasefire talk. It came from outside India, despite what the Trump...
outside India.
Exactly, despite what US President Trump has said. Let's just talk about that for a moment till we get more details in from the press conference.
So I think this is important because, you know, when Sindoor, on the day that Sindoor's active military phase came to an end on the 10th of May, a few of us, just a handful of senior editors, met people with direct knowledge of the entire Sindoor process, where we were told categorically of a certain timeline. On the 10th itself, at a particular time, the Pakistani Director General of Military Intelligence got through on the hotline to the Indian Director General of Military Intelligence. They spoke at about 3:30 p.m. that afternoon, and a couple of hours later, they had agreed a couple of hours later that there would be a complete ceasefire which takes place. Both sides agreed upon that. It was the Pakistani side which came onto the table in speaking to us. Remember, this was the same Director General of Military Operations which approximately 48 odd hours or a little bit more than that prior to that had rebuffed an Indian offer when our DGMO reached out to them and said, look, we have struck terror targets. We don't intend to increase the scope of these operations. The Pakistanis rejected that. Then they started striking or attempting to strike Indian targets. Then the entire situation became quite complex. But what the Air Chief has said today is very much along the lines of what I've been briefed about, and is very much in contrary to what the US President has claimed, where he said that he's sort of threatened that trade couldn't exist properly for Pakistan, presumably for India as well, until both sides came to the table. India has rejected that assertion entirely. It was the Pakistani DGMO who on the 10th of May came to the table. That is when the process stopped of fighting, and that is what the Air Chief has referred to. So it is important because India is standing our ground completely on this, saying that basically, and without naming Trump, the Air Chief wouldn't do that, making the point that it was the Pakistanis who actually chose to end this conflict.
And then he also goes on to talk about self-reliance being crucial as we are to become a superpower, Vishnu. If you can elaborate on that as well, because that's something that you've heard the other defense chiefs also talk about in the past.
Well, you know, this is Atmanirbharta. It is the bedrock upon which all of our armed forces are now operating. It comes from a realization that when push comes to shove, you need to have developed weapon systems indigenously at home. Now, that's easier said than done. But as far as the Indian Air Force and Atmanirbharta is concerned, remember we've placed an order in total of 1,10,000 crore rupees, right? That's a whopping amount of money for approximately 180 Tejas Mark 1A fighter jets. The Air Force Chief spoke about that, saying self-reliance is crucial if we are to become a superpower. The LCA Mark 1 has been ordered. He, of course, earlier on did state that these jets must come with a certain requisite capability. We expect these to be inducted in the Indian Air Force in a short period of time.
Vishnu, thanks for joining me there. We'll keep coming back to you for more. There is more breaking news coming in at this point. It is from the south. All right, we were talking about that court hearing that is underway in the Karur tragedy case. That case hearing details are now emerging. This is at the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court. What we're being told is that the judges observed that the safety of people is of utmost priority. Drinking water and toilet facilities should have been ensured during that Karur rally. It is state government's responsibility to protect the lives of people. The judges also observed there is no permission to conduct rallies or meetings near state or national highways. Let's break this down now with Vijay, who's still with us. Vijay, just take us through these observations being made by the judge in the court and the implications?
That's right. The Madurai bench of Madras High Court is pleaded with a public interest litigation petition. There are more 7 public litigation petition in related to Karur tragedy. So each the court is hearing, the judge is hearing one by one. The first petition by a victim himself, Sendil Kannan, an auto rickshaw owner from Karur, where he said the court should order DGP from restraint from giving permission to rallies without proper SOP. So while hearing this case, judge observed that people's safety is utmost priority. This is what judge exactly observed. He even said that drinking water and toilet facility should have been ensured during such a big political rallies. He mentioned that it is state government's responsibility also to ensure the safety of people's lives. Even judge observed that no permission, whatever could be, whether it is a political rally or public meeting, there shouldn't be a permission shouldn't be given to such rallies or a meeting near to state highways or national highways. Judge observed those things in very common. Very soon we are expecting order also in those public litigation petitions. There was allegations of TVK failed to provide drinking water and toilet facility, and where people made to wait from 10 a.m. to till 7 p.m., which led to a stampede-like situation. So these observations from judge is seen as a very important points, because judge asked to ensure drinking water and toilet facility. He even mentioned that even the present rally also happened near to highways, but state government mentioned on behalf the court, it is mentioned that the rally was permitted only on the specified place where Velusamipuram, where that is a usual place for such political rallies. However, judge said that no permission shouldn't be given. Either it should be a rally or public meeting, shouldn't be given near to state or national highways. These are all the important observation we are getting here from the Madurai bench of Madras High Court. The case proceeding is going on. We shall wait for more updates.
This comes on a day when you've already had that face-off again between the DMK, calling out the BJP also here on having their delegation in Karur. So much politics over this, be it DMK versus Vijay, be it DMK versus BJP, and these observations coming out from Court Vijay also talking about how the onus also lies with the state government.
That's right. We have been seeing a lot of political developments and political reactions over this Karur stampede. As you mentioned, that BJP delegates led by MP Hema Malini visited the Karur tragedy spot. And also the delegation also met Karur family victims, and they consoled them. They even visited the hospital where the injured were getting treatment. They even mentioned that they suspected, speculated a certain conspiracy theory behind this. They blamed the DMK government based on the eyewitnesses with whom they spoke. But however, state government have been keep on saying that they took all the precautionary measures. They provided proper security to the TVK chief Vijay's rally. However, TVK failed to follow certain rules and regulations, which led to a stampede-like situation. Even BJP mentioned that BJP alleges that state government failed to give proper protection. BJP also backs TVK chief Vijay from that context. However, they hold TVK also responsibility. They advise that Vijay could have reached the spot on the specified time. He reached the campaign site, which led to a stampede-like situation. The other reaction from principal opposition party AADMK, where EPS advises Vijay, it is lead supporters, so leader also should take responsibility. However, EPS also blamed the state government. It is state government responsibility to ensure the protection. However, Chief Minister has been saying that they are taking all the measures on the TVK tragedy, TVK Karur tragedy. What exactly happened?
Right.
Even they formed a one-member commission, Aruna Jagadishan, to probe the incident. More investigation is going on.